Hey, this demo is going to walk through how to use our 1099 spreadsheet to organize contractors, freelancers, and vendors you paid more than $600 in 2024. So the first step would be logging into Kick, navigating to the Transactions tab, and then downloading your 2024 1099 transactions. So the first thing you'll see when you open the spreadsheet is the instructions, which walks through step-by-step how to use this template to complete your 1099 analysis and organize your filings. We recommend reading the 1099 FAQ before starting, which provides some valuable information on when 1099s are required, filing deadlines, and the exceptions to filing. So I'm going to start here on the Transactions tab, and the first thing I'm going to do is actually filter out credit cards because 1099s are not required for payments made via credit card. The next thing I'm going to do is filter for the Contractors category. So we recommend reviewing 5 different Kick categories in detail: advertising and marketing, contractors, legal and professional, learning and development, and repairs and maintenance, because these are categories that can frequently have payments for services. Now that I'm filtered for contractors, I'm going to review the transactions that are included here. First, I'm going to filter for Gusto, and I know that I made payments to a vendor named Ethan Harper via Gusto. So I'm just going to enter the vendor name in this column and copy and paste it so it's included for all transactions. Next, I'm going to look at these payments to John Steele. And I know that the name of John Steele's S Corp that I made these payments to is Vertex LLC, so I am going to complete the vendor column for these payments as well. Finally, I'm going to look at these Zelle payments that I made. And these are all to Strong Management LLC, which is the management company for my real estate business. So once I've completed the vendor column for each contractor payment on the Transactions tab, I can move on to the summary. I've pre-populated the vendor names and the entity names on this tab just for the sake of time, but the process here would just be to type in the name of each vendor and the associated entity that the payments were made from, and then the 2024 vendor spend will populate automatically. The other required columns that you need to complete on this tab are columns G, H, and I, the first one being whether the vendor was US based or not. And I am going to answer yes for each of these vendors. I'm going to answer no for legal fees because none of these payments were for legal fees. And then the next critical column is the vendor entity type, which you can find along with the vendor name on the W-9 that's provided to you by each contractor that you pay throughout the year. So for Strong Management LLC, I'm going to select multi-member LLC. Ethan Harper is an individual, and Vertex LLC is an S corporation. If I scroll over to the right here, we can now see if a 1099 is required for each of these contractor payments. So Strong Management LLC requires a 1099, Ethan Harper requires a 1099, and Vertex LLC actually does not require a 1099. Even though I paid them more than $600 for services, and they are US based, since they're an S corporation, a 1099 is not required. You can learn more about these requirements on the 1099 FAQ tab, but as long as you complete columns B, E, G, H, and I, and column F auto-populates with all of the payments that you made to each vendor from the Transactions tab, then column O should tell you accurately whether a 1099 is required or not for each vendor. The final step in the process would be to go to Track 1099 and file 1099s for each of the vendors where 1099s are required. The rest of the columns in this template are the information that you will need in order to file your 1099s on Track 1099. We hope this template streamlines your 1099 review and filing process for 2024, and we plan to have features in Kick to assist with 1099 filing for 2025. We would love your feedback on what your ideal 1099 workflow would look like, so please do not hesitate to reach out with any questions or feedback at support@kick.co.